High Chancellor Nixus of the Galactic Concordat stood before the massive viewing window of the Celestial Observatory, her crystalline form refracting the starlight into dancing patterns across the chamber floor. The message she'd received from the Outer Rim Exploration Fleet had disturbed her usual diplomatic calm. After 3 millennia of service to the Concordat, very little could shake her composure, but this discovery threatened to upend everything. "Show me the scans again," she commanded, her voice resonating with harmonics that betrayed her unease. The holographic display materialized before her, showing the massive object their scouts had found buried within an asteroid at the edge of known space. First Officer Krell, a towering Arthean with iridescent scales, manipulated the controls with his upper arms while his lower pair remained formally clasped behind his back. "The vessel is approximately 3 kilometers in length, High Chancellor. Initial dating puts its construction at roughly 50,000 years ago, during the time of the Lost Ones." The Lost Ones. Humans. The species that had blazed across the galaxy like a supernova, building wonders and reaching technological heights that even now, millennia later, no other race had matched. Then they had vanished, leaving behind only ruins and mysteries. Some said they had ascended to another plane of existence. Others believed they had destroyed themselves in some cataclysmic war. The truth had been lost to time. "The energy readings are unlike anything in our database," came the careful voice of Chief Scientist Vera, her tentacles writhing with excitement as she studied the data. The Cephaldan scientist had been analyzing the findings for the past 3 days without rest. "The power core is still active, running on some form of quantum reactor we can't even begin to understand. But that's not the most remarkable thing we found." Nixus turned, her crystalline form catching the light. "Continue." "We detected stasis pods. Hundreds of them. And..." Vera's voice dropped to a whisper, "They are still operational." The chamber fell silent. The implications were staggering. Not just a human vessel, but possibly living humans, preserved across the ages. The last examples of a species that had once stood at the pinnacle of galactic civilization. "There's more," Krell added, his scales shifting to a deeper blue. "We found writing on the hull. Our linguistics team managed to translate it, Project Nemesis, when all else fails." Nixus moved closer to the hologram, studying the massive ship's angular design. Unlike the elegant spiral architecture of the Concordat or the organic curves favored by the Artheans, this vessel was built for war. Its hull bristled with weapon ports, and its very shape seemed designed to strike fear into those who beheld it. "The Council of Elders will want to destroy it," Vera said softly. "They fear anything that might disturb the peace we've maintained since the Great Collapse." "The Council of Elders doesn't understand the threat we face," Nixus replied, her voice hardening. "The void storms are growing stronger. The quantum anomalies at the galaxy's edge expand with each passing cycle. We've lost 3 colony worlds in the past year alone." She turned to face her advisors. Perhaps the humans knew something we don't. Perhaps this wasn't just a weapon, but a safeguard against something worse." "You're suggesting we wake them?" Krell's scales flashed with alarm. "High Chancellor, these beings are from an age of chaos. Their technology, their very way of thinking, could be dangerous to everything we've built." "Everything we've built is already in danger," Nixus countered. "We face threats our ancestors never dreamed of. The void storms are just the beginning. You've seen the long-range sensor data. Something is coming, something that defies our understanding of physics itself." She approached the hologram again, reaching out as if to touch the ancient vessel. "The humans were warriors, yes, but they were also guardians. They built things meant to last ages. This ship, this Project Nemesis, they left it here for a reason. And they made sure it would endure until it was needed again." "The Council will never approve," Vera warned. "Then we don't ask the Council," Nixus said firmly. "Sometimes preservation requires action rather than deliberation. Krell, begin awakening procedures for the stasis pods. Vera, I want every scrap of data from that ship's computers analyzed. And send word to Admiral Zahn, I want the 7th Fleet moved to these coordinates." As her officers hurried to comply, Nixus remained before their viewing window, watching the distant stars. Somewhere out there, the void storms were growing, consuming everything in their path. The humans had faced something similar once, she was certain of it. Why else would they leave behind such a powerful weapon, preserved across millennia? "Welcome back to the galaxy, lost ones," she whispered. "I hope you're ready for what awaits us all." The stasis pod's seal broke with a hiss of ancient machinery coming to life. Director Vera watched anxiously as the first human emerged from 50,000 years of suspended animation. The being before them was tall, with dark skin and a powerful build that spoke of genetic engineering. Their medical scans had revealed extensive cybernetic enhancements throughout the human's body, technology that made their most advanced medical systems look primitive. Captain Marcus Thorne opened his eyes for the first time in 50 millennia, his enhanced vision immediately analyzing his surroundings. The revival chamber was filled with beings he'd never seen before, a crystalline entity, what appeared to be a reptilian humanoid, and something that reminded him of Earth's ancient cephalopods. His combat systems automatically began calculating threat assessments before his conscious mind fully engaged. "Be at ease, Captain Thorne," the crystalline being spoke, its voice carrying harmonic overtones that seemed to resonate within his cybernetic systems. "I am High Chancellor Nixus of the Galactic Concordat. You and your crew have slept for far longer than intended." Marcus's augmented mind processed this information while his body adjusted to movement. "How long?" he asked, his voice rough from disuse. The medical systems in his pod had maintained his body, but nothing could fully prepare a human mind for the concept of deep time. "Approximately 50,000 years, Nixus replied carefully. "Your civilization? Earth, they are gone. You and your crew may be the last humans in existence." The news hit Marcus like a physical blow, but his training held. Project Nemesis had been humanity's final contingency, a weapon of last resort against an enemy they couldn't defeat through conventional means. But they were supposed to sleep for centuries, not millennia. "The others," he said, looking at the rows of pods still sealed. "Wake them. Now." Over the next hours, 4 more pods opened. Lieutenant Diana Frost, the team's tactical specialist, emerged with her snow-white hair and pale skin marking her as adapted for deep space operations. Chief Engineer Rook, whose dark eyes held the gleam of someone who understood machines better than people. Dr. Yuki Tanaka, their xenobiologist and diplomatic specialist, whose gentle demeanor belied the devastating biological weapons under her control. And finally, Security Chief Viktor Volkov, a mountain of a man whose cybernetic enhancements were more obvious, gleaming beneath his skin. As the 5 warriors of Project Nemesis gathered in what the aliens called a cultural integration chamber, Marcus noticed how the alien crew kept their distance. Fear? Respect? Both, perhaps. "Tell me about these void storms," Marcus said, addressing Nixus directly. His team was still processing the loss of their civilization, but they were soldiers first. They needed a mission. Nixus gestured, and a holographic display filled the chamber, showing purple-black tears in space itself. "They appeared 3 years ago, at the galaxy's edge. At first, we thought they were natural phenomena, unusual quantum fluctuations. But they are spreading, consuming entire systems. Conventional weapons have no effect. Energy shields fail. We've lost contact with multiple colony worlds." Diana stepped forward, her augmented eyes analyzing the display. "The pattern," she said quietly. "It's the same." The other human warriors tensed at her words. "Explain," Nixus demanded, her crystalline form shifting colors with intensity. Marcus exchanged looks with his team before speaking. "What you're calling void storms, we called them reality fractures. They were the opening move in a war that nearly destroyed humanity. We never knew what they really were, weapons, natural phenomena, or something else entirely. But they preceded the arrival of..." He paused, searching for the right words, "something from outside our universe. Something that viewed our reality as territory to be conquered." "Project Nemesis wasn't just a weapon," Yuki added, her voice soft but carrying. "It was a complete defense system. The ship, our enhanced bodies, the quantum core, all designed to fight an enemy that didn't play by the rules of our physics. Krell, who had been silent until now, stepped forward. You're saying you fought these things before? Your civilization faced this threat. Faced it, yes, Victor rumbled, his Russian accent still strong after 50,000 years. But we never defeated it. Project Nemesis was our last hope, a way to preserve our best weapons and warriors in case the enemy returned. We were supposed to wake up to a restored Earth, to help rebuild. His massive fists clenched. Not to find everything gone. The room fell silent as the weight of history pressed down on them all. These 5 humans were more than refugees from the past, they were warriors who had faced humanity's greatest enemy and survived. But they were also the last of their kind, waking to find their civilization, their species, everything they had known, turned to dust. High Chancellor, Marcus said finally, his cybernetic systems having completed their analysis of the current political situation from the data they'd been provided. Your Concordat faces the same threat that destroyed my civilization. We can help you fight it, it's what we were engineered for. But we'll need resources, authority, and most importantly, trust. Nixus's crystalline form pulsed with colors. The Council of Elders will resist. They fear change, fear upsetting the balance we've maintained for millennia. The balance is already upset, Diana interjected, her tactical systems projecting future scenarios. These void storms of yours. They are moving faster than the ones we faced. The enemy has evolved, adapted. You have months at best before they make their first direct move. Then we have much work to do, Nixus said, her tone resolute. And very little time to do it. Marcus looked at his team, the last warriors of humanity, waking to find a galaxy on the brink of the same war that had destroyed their civilization. They had failed to save Earth. They would not fail again. The war room aboard Project Nemesis hummed with ancient power as Captain Marcus Thorne activated systems dormant for 50 millennia. The massive holographic display flickered to life, showing a 3-dimensional map of the galaxy. Red markers indicated the spread of void storms, while blue dots represented the Concordat's defensive positions. Your fleet formations are wrong, Diana Frost said, her augmented eyes tracking movement patterns in the hologram. She stood before the gathered alien admirals, her white hair seeming to glow in the dim light. You're treating their void storms like a natural phenomenon. They are not. They are hunting. Admiral Zahn, a towering figure with metallic scales, leaned forward. Hunting? These are tears in space-time. They don't have intelligence. That's what we thought too, Chief Engineer Rook interjected, his fingers dancing over control panels as he brought up archived battle footage from humanity's last war. The footage showed similar storms, but these moved with obvious purpose, herding fleeing ships into killing zones. The storms are tools, probes sent ahead to test defenses and prepare reality for their master's arrival. The assembled alien leaders watched in horror as the ancient footage showed massive shapes emerging from the storms, beings that seemed to bend and twist in ways that hurt the eye to watch. Reality itself warped around them, turning normal space into something else, something wrong. We called them reality benders, Dr. Tanaka explained, her gentle voice a contrast to the nightmare images. They exist in dimensions beyond our understanding. Our universe is just territory to them, something to be reshaped for their own purposes. When they enter our reality, they bring their physics with them. Impossible, declared arch-scientist Myra, her crystalline form flashing with skepticism. The fundamental laws of physics cannot be altered. Viktor Volkov laughed, a deep sound with little humor. Tell that to the billions who died when they changed gravity's constant in the Proxima system. Or the colonies that froze when they rewrote the laws of thermodynamics. His cybernetic arms flexed, remembering battles against enemies that could change the rules of reality itself. High Chancellor Nixus, who had been silently observing, finally spoke. If these beings are so powerful, how did humanity fight them at all? Marcus stepped forward, placing his hand on a sealed compartment of the ship. It recognized his genetic signature, opening to reveal a pulsing core of energy that defied analysis. Project Nemesis wasn't just about preserving warriors or weapons. We learned to fight back by breaking the rules ourselves. The core projected images of human ships wielding impossible weapons, of soldiers like Marcus and his team fighting with technology that borrowed concepts from higher dimensions. We couldn't beat them with conventional weapons, so we started thinking like them. Every member of my team carries weapons and enhancements based on their own technology, turned against them. At a terrible cost, Diana added softly. Each enhancement, each weapon, required sacrifices. Volunteers willing to let us rewrite their basic physical structure. Many didn't survive the process. The alien leaders murmured among themselves, a mix of horror and fascination in their various voices. Humanity's reputation for determination took on new meaning. They had been willing to remake themselves at the most fundamental level to fight an impossible enemy. Their void storms are spreading faster than before, Rook said, highlighting the current pattern of destruction. They've evolved their tactics. In our time, they tested defenses for years before their main invasion. Now they are moving more aggressively. They know there's no humanity to stop them this time. But they are wrong, Marcus declared, his enhanced voice carrying to every corner of the chamber. Because we're still here. And this time, we have allies, if you're willing to fight. Nixus moved to stand beside the human captain, her crystalline form resolute. The Concordat has maintained peace for millennia. We've forgotten how to wage war. Then we'll remind you, Victor said, stepping forward. But you must understand, this isn't a war that can be won with your current technology. You'll need to accept changes, adapt weapons and defenses based on our designs. You're asking us to mutilate ourselves. Become like you. Admiral Zan demanded, his scales rippling with distaste. We're asking you to survive, Dr. Tanaka countered. The reality benders don't care about your physical form or your cultural taboos. They care about claiming this galaxy, this dimension, for their own purposes. Everything you know, everything you are, will be rewritten at the most basic level if they win. Diana manipulated the holographic display, showing projections of their void storm's advance. Based on current patterns, we have maybe 3 months before they make their first direct incursion. 6 months before they begin full-scale reality conversion of occupied territory. How do we prepare? Nixus asked, her voice carrying the weight of command. Marcus smiled grimly. We start by waking up the rest of Project Nemesis. The stasis pods you found. They don't just contain warriors. They contain our best scientists, engineers, and tactical minds, people who spent their lives learning to fight impossible enemies. And then? Admiral Zan pressed. Then we teach you to break the rules of reality itself, Marcus replied. Because that's the only way to save it. The chamber fell silent as the alien leaders confronted the choice before them. Preserve their current forms and certainties, or embrace transformation and war. Above them, the holographic display continued its grim countdown, showing their void storms advancing, drawing ever closer to the heart of civilized space. The reality benders were coming. And this time, humanity wouldn't face them alone. The transformation chamber pulsed with otherworldly energy as Admiral Zan underwent the procedure that would forever change him. Dr. Tanaka monitored the process while Captain Marcus Thorne stood watch, his enhanced senses detecting the subtle shifts in reality around them. The Admiral's metallic scales were taking on a new property, no longer just biological armor, but something that existed partially in another dimension. The integration is holding, Dr. Tanaka reported, her instruments showing the Admiral's body accepting the quantum modifications. He'll be the first successfully enhanced Arthean. The procedure finished, and Admiral Zan rose from the chamber. His scales now rippled with impossible colors, shifting between states of matter that shouldn't coexist. He flexed his claws, watching as they briefly phased through solid matter before solidifying again. How do you feel? Marcus asked, ready to subdue the Admiral if the enhancement drove him mad, as it had so many in the early days of Project Nemesis. I feel aware, Zan replied, his voice carrying new harmonics. I can sense the weak points in reality now. See where they are trying to break through. He turned to face the observation window, where High Chancellor Nixus and other Concordat leaders watched anxiously. We need to accelerate the program. There's less time than we thought. In the 2 weeks since Project Nemesis had been fully activated, change had swept through the galaxy like wildfire. The remaining stasis pods had yielded 30 more human specialists, scientists, engineers, and warriors who had volunteered for the original project. Each brought with them knowledge and capabilities that the modern galaxy had never dreamed of. Chief Engineer Rook had established manufacturing facilities aboard Project Nemesis, teaching alien technicians how to build weapons that could harm beings from beyond normal space-time. Diana Frost led combat training, showing transformed volunteers how to fight in multiple dimensions simultaneously. And Viktor Volkov oversaw the construction of defense platforms that could detect reality incursions before they fully manifested. But not everyone embraced the changes. The Council of Elders has called for an emergency session, Nixus announced as she entered the main strategic chamber. Several member races are threatening to secede from the Concordat rather than accept these modifications. Marcus studied the latest tactical displays, showing their void storms accelerating advance. They won't have a choice soon. The reality benders don't offer surrender terms, they simply rewrite everything in their path. Perhaps a demonstration would help, came a new voice. Dr. Arya Chen, one of the newly awakened human scientists, entered the chamber. Her body seemed to shimmer, as if not quite solid, a side effect of being the first human to successfully merge with quantum technology. We've completed the reality anchor network around the Centauri colony. We can show them what happens when a void storm hits protected versus unprotected territory. The gathered leaders watched as a void storm encountered the quantum-enhanced defense grid. Purple-black energy crashed against shields that existed in multiple dimensions, trying to unmake the laws of physics themselves. But the reality anchors held, maintaining a bubble of normal spacetime around the colony. Incredible, Nixus breathed, her crystalline form resonating with the energy patterns. But the power requirements must be enormous. That's where the next phase comes in, Diana said, entering with Victor close behind. Both warriors showed signs of recent combat, their enhanced bodies bearing scars that shifted between dimensions. We've been tracking reality bender scout units. Small ones, testing our defenses. We captured one. The chamber erupted in shocked exclamations. In humanity's previous war, capturing even a piece of reality bender technology had been nearly impossible. The beings existed in so many dimensions that containing them defied conventional physics. How? Admiral Zahn demanded, his new abilities letting him sense the truth of their claim. We used their own methods against them, Victor explained, his massive form now housing weapons that could punch holes through reality itself. The enhanced teams you approved for special operations. They performed beyond expectations. Turns out your species adapt to quantum modification even better than humans in some ways. Dr. Tanaka pulled up detailed scans of the captured entity. This will accelerate our research significantly. We can improve the enhancement process, make it safer and more efficient. And the technology we can derive from studying it will change everything, Marcus finished. Again. He looked around at the assembled leaders, human and alien together, all transformed by necessity into something new. But that's the point, isn't it? We either change, or we disappear. High Chancellor Nixus moved to the central display, her crystalline form now housing enhancements of her own, the first of her kind to accept the modification. The Council of Elders meets in 6 hours. They need to understand that this isn't just about survival. We're witnessing the birth of something unprecedented, the merger of multiple species technologies and biological capabilities to create defenses that no single race could achieve alone. They are afraid, Dr. Chen observed, her partially quantum form flickering. Not just of the enemy, but of losing themselves. Their identities, their pure forms. We felt the same, Marcus said quietly. When we first developed these modifications, many humans opposed them. Called them an abandonment of our humanity. But we learned that humanity isn't about maintaining a fixed form, it's about adapting, surviving, protecting what matters most. Admiral Zahn flexed his reality-phasing claws. Then let us show the Council exactly what we face. Not just reports and projections, but reality itself. He turned to Marcus. Can your captured reality bender be transported safely? A slow smile spread across Marcus's face as he understood the Admiral's plan. Under heavy containment, yes. Nothing convinces like seeing the enemy up close. Then we make our stand before the Council, Nixus declared. Not as separate species arguing about preservation versus progress, but as the first unified force capable of fighting back against the reality benders. As the leaders dispersed to prepare for the crucial Council session, Marcus remained at the tactical display. The void storms were growing, spreading faster than ever. But for the first time in 50,000 years, he felt hope. Humanity had faced this enemy alone before, and failed. But now, transformed by necessity and united with species they had never known, they had a real chance to save not just one civilization, but all of them. The reality benders had meant to unmake everything they found. Instead, they had forced the galaxy to remake itself into something stronger. Something new. The massive chamber of the Council of Elders erupted in chaos as the containment field flickered, giving them all a brief glimpse of the captured reality bender. Multiple eyes, appendages that existed in geometries that shouldn't be possible, and a form that seemed to fold through dimensions that the mind couldn't process. It was a vision of nightmare made real. This is what comes through the void storms, Captain Marcus Thorne's enhanced voice cut through the panic. This is what consumed Earth, what threatens your worlds now. And this is just a scout. The Council chamber itself was a testament to how much had changed in the past month. Reality anchor points glowed at strategic locations, maintaining stable spacetime against the captured being's influence. Enhanced guards, both human and alien, stood ready with weapons that could fire through multiple dimensions simultaneously. High Chancellor Nixus moved to the center of the chamber, her crystalline form now housing quantum modifications that made her sparkle with impossible colors. Honorable Elders, the time for debate is over. The enemy has accelerated their timeline. The void storms have begun converging. Dr. Tanaka activated the central holographic display, showing the galaxy map. Purple-black tears in reality were moving with clear purpose now, forming a pattern that the Project Nemesis veterans recognized all too well. They are creating a convergence point, Diana Frost explained, her white hair shifting in winds that existed between dimensions. A space where their physics can overwrite ours completely. Once established, they'll pour through in numbers we can't imagine. How long? Demanded Elder Cause, one of the few Council members who had supported the enhancement program from the start. 48 hours, Chief Engineer Rook answered, his modified sensors reading fluctuations in reality itself. Maybe less. They learned from their war with humanity. They are moving faster, more aggressively. Then we have no choice, Admiral Zahn declared, his enhanced scales rippling as he moved to stand beside Marcus. The combined fleet must deploy immediately. All enhanced personnel, all reality-anchored ships, everything we have. And throw away all we are. Elder Voss rose, his ancient form trembling with emotion. Look at what we've become. Modified, corrupted, abandoning the pure forms we've maintained for millennia. I remember similar arguments, Dr. Arya Chen said softly, her quantum-merged form shifting like smoke. On Earth, before the first invasion. We chose purity over survival then. Trillions died because we waited too long to adapt. She moved through several dimensions at once, approaching the Elder. Your pure forms cannot fight this enemy. They cannot even survive in the physics they bring with them. The chamber's reality anchors suddenly flared red. Viktor Volkov's enhanced senses registered the danger first. Multiple breaches. They are not waiting for the convergence. The chamber's defensive screens activated as space itself began to tear open. Through the rents in reality, massive shapes began to emerge, reality benders far larger than the captured scout, their forms bending existence around them like gravity bends light. Defensive positions. Marcus commanded, his enhanced body shifting into combat mode. Around him, transformed warriors of 6 different species moved with impossible speed, weapons ready. Get the Council members to their secure bunkers, Nixus ordered, her crystalline form now radiating energy that could disrupt transdimensional beings. All enhanced personnel, Hold the line. The battle that followed would be remembered for millennia to come. Reality benders poured through multiple breaches, trying to establish their physics within the chamber. But they faced something they had never encountered before, a unified force of multiple species, all enhanced with technology derived from their own capabilities. Diana Frost led a team of enhanced Arthean warriors, their modified scales letting them phase through reality-warped spaces to strike at vulnerable points in the reality benders' forms. Viktor Volkov and his heavy weapons squad, comprising massive enhanced beings from 3 different species, laid down devastating fire that crossed multiple dimensional boundaries. Dr. Tanaka and Dr. Chen worked in concert with alien scientists, using their combined understanding of transdimensional physics to stabilize reality around key strategic points. The reality benders found their usual tactics of rewriting local physics countered by beings who understood their methods. The convergence point. Rook shouted over the dimensional chaos. They are still building it. If it completes. It won't, Marcus declared. He turned to Admiral Zan. The weapon core from Project Nemesis. It's time. The Admiral's enhanced senses understood immediately what Marcus planned. It will destroy this entire sector of space. Better than letting them establish a permanent foothold, Marcus replied. Signal the fleet. All enhanced ships to form a reality anchor perimeter. Everything else falls back beyond the quantum barrier. High Chancellor Nixus, fighting beside them with weapons that could shatter dimensional boundaries, nodded her approval. Do it. The council chamber was built to be sacrificed if needed. Better here than a populated system. As the battle raged, the core of Project Nemesis, humanity's last and greatest weapon, was brought online. It was not just a power source but a reality bomb, designed to create a space where no physics, not even the reality bender's impossible geometries, could exist. All enhanced personnel, fall back to anchor points. Marcus commanded. Conventional forces, full retreat. We're remaking this entire sector. The reality benders, sensing their weapons' power, tried to stop them. But they had never faced an enemy that could match them in transdimensional combat, never encountered beings who had remade themselves into weapons that could fight on their level. In the final moments, as the chamber filled with reality-warping combat, Marcus looked at the beings fighting beside him, humans and aliens together, all transformed by necessity into something new, all fighting to preserve a galaxy that some of them had only just awakened to find. For Earth, he whispered. For all worlds. The weapon core detonated. Reality itself screamed as a sphere of non-existence expanded outward, consuming reality benders and local space alike. The enhanced fleet maintained their perimeter, their reality anchors containing the devastation to a single sector. When it was over, where the council chamber and dozens of reality benders had been, there was now a perfect sphere of nothing. Not empty space, but a place where the laws of physics themselves had been erased. Hours later, as their combined fleet regrouped at their fallback position, the surviving council members faced the truth they had tried to deny. The galaxy had changed. Their civilization had changed. There was no going back to their pure forms, no returning to the peace they had known. But they had survived. More than that, they had won their first major victory against an enemy that had once consumed Earth itself. What now? Elder Cos asked, looking at the assembled command staff, human and alien alike, all changed by the modifications they had embraced. Now, Marcus said, studying tactical displays showing the remaining void storms retreating, we take the fight to them. They thought they would find an easy conquest here. Instead, they found a galaxy that learned from humanity's last stand. A galaxy that chose to remake itself rather than fall. High Chancellor Nixus, her crystalline form still radiating battle energy, smiled. They wanted to rewrite our reality. Instead, we rewrote ourselves. And this is just the beginning. The assembled warriors, the last remnant of humanity and their new allies, transformed by necessity into something both more and less than their original forms, looked out at the stars. The reality benders would return. But this time, they would find not separate species clinging to their purity, but a unified force that had chosen to evolve. The game had changed. Reality itself would never be the same.